To the legends and super legends, welcome to Veloharmony. It's very warm today. It's about 21 Celsius, about 70 degrees Fahrenheit. And I'm about to head out. It's 6:30 in the morning. I'm gonna roll out and try to hook up with the WCC boys. It's we just found out yesterday that the ride we had signed up for, the RBC, has been canceled due to severe weather. There's rain in the forecast today, and it's the same kind of weather tomorrow. But anyway, hope you all get a chance to get some K's in, and no matter what, keep those doctors fired. On this ride, I left Northampton, rolled into the Woodlands to the Ashland YMCA to pick up the Woodland Cycling Club. I saw Mo on Sterling Ridge there. We rode to the Y together. And you can see Paul behind us. I didn't know that he was going to ride on Saturday because he had taken a day off on Sunday. And we passed him on the way back. You can see that he was going out. We did a double loop of Honia Egypt Road there because of the weather. It was really, really ominous and dark, and so we decided we would do an extra loop instead of riding into the rain. We went back to Montgomery. Right there we met Paul near Taco Corner, and so Paul, myself, and Fabian rode out and did an extra loop 1097, but Fabian was hammering so much, and we went ahead and let him go, and Paul and I decided to just add more loops to our ride. We checked out an area that Mo rides in here, that you're looking at, that loop over there, a place called Lake Forest. We did a loop of that just to kind of check it out and came back, and so we found a new road to use. Hopefully you guys got a chance to get some K's in. I did not have my mud guards on because the weather said the rain was not supposed to come till later in the morning, and of course they were off. So got a lot of K's in and felt really good.
Oh, you did? Oh man, I was giving you hell.
That's Katie. She said she finally realized what I do with the film. And so the guys were joking and saying he just wants to practice one-handed writing. He doesn't do anything useful with that. Because she was wondering, she said, I was wondering why you carry that camera.
Yeah, you have a lot of fans.
I'm telling her that some of the people call her Hammerhead, and somebody calls her a monster.
There's a guy in Florida that calls Katie a monster.
So we're laughing about it because Katie didn't realize that I was putting this thing out there. Her husband on the right here, Jared, in the blue, on the right, on the shoulder there. He's been watching the film, and I guess he may have mentioned it to her. She finally decided to see herself writing. So she was mentioning to me, she said, I got to see your film. I didn't know what you were doing with these. And that's what we're laughing at. So Mo's here. Mo and I hooked up on Sterling Ridge. We're kind of spinning to pass the time because I got there a little early. So we rode to the start together. At this point, I didn't know Paul was riding because Mo asked me whether Paul was riding. I told him, well, Paul took off Sunday to do the RBC. And I thought that he was going to work Saturday and then ride Sunday, like switch it up. The guy in the light blue and white, well, I guess regular blue and white, blue and white jersey on the left, his name is Andrew. He's from the UK. And so I think he comes to Houston from time to time. So he's just coming to town. He's riding with us. And he follows the channel also. So in a little bit, Mo tells me this really cool story about some guy that mooned the peloton in a big race in Tuscany that he had done. I think this is where he asked me about where Paul was, and I think this is where I told him. Paul had done. They had to make a decision by Friday as to whether they were going to hold that ride because there's a lot of logistics involved. People coming from out of town, having to drop off barriers and all of that. They didn't want to do all of that and then cancel the ride. I think that's what we're talking about. So because of the weather reports, you know, things looked kind of ominous at the time. They decided to call it off. In fact, there's a race the day after this in Fayetteville that Moore was on the fence about, and he ended up not going. We ended up seeing him on Sunday as well when we were coming back. So all the rides had just small turnouts. I think this is where Moore's waiting for me. He's going to tell me that story, which is really cool, about this guy that pulled his shorts down on camera trying to moon the camera, but he didn't realize that it was not live, a big race that they did. I did my best to edit it to where you could hear Mo. It's kind of hard to get the wind out of there.
Yeah, very classic ones. Okay. Probably one of the longest races in Tuscany. Every year it's August 15th. Starts 7:30 in the morning. And it's the same format. It's stage race for a classic race like the Florence. Big mountain. And then you come down and you finish there right on the coast.
Okay.
Beautiful, all the umbrellas, people on the beach. So anyways, all you gotta do is the issue. That's the public television. So they start with your taking their shots, right? And they start. There is this one guy, Alessio Di Pasco.
Alessio is the rider that mooned the camera.
Okay. So anyway, we're all in single file, right? Single file, and the camera guy starts doing this. And then everybody passes. Taking the shots like this.
Yeah.
He goes. That's what he goes. He grabs me.
Behind the guy, he like, thanks a lot.
He moved everybody. That's funny.
I consider it was not live, so they got it.
Okay,
Yeah, most of it wasn't live, so they edited it out.
really?
He pulled his shorts down. He must have been wearing cycling shorts. He pulled his shorts down in front of the camera. That's funny. That's funny. It was a big race in Tuscany that Mo did a long time ago. I know that happened.
I edited it. I went on there, put some narration, put it out there.
We're talking about the film that Mo sent. Race of the two provinces, the tour of the two provinces. He explains the meaning of his nickname, Topo. Mo says Topini means mice, and so Topo means mouse.
Okay, got you. So that makes sense.
It's always been.
So that's a singular.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, he said, probably CBO Topo.
He said that Davide's name sounded familiar. Davide Bernardi is the guy who told us about Mo's nickname.
Yeah, that makes sense.
That's cool. Yeah, we had a small turnout, and I'm sure it's because of the weather, but we got a good ride in. And Mo was taking it easy today because he was thinking, he was on the fence about doing the Fayetteville race. It's a race that is an hour and a half west of Houston. And so he was thinking about doing it, so he wasn't going to ride long or hard today. The rest of the guys rode kind of hard. Fabian is pretty strong, and he was just pulling really hard today. So got a good workout today. At this point in the ride, we had been talking, and I just didn't think Paul was riding. I was not aware of the schedule, what he was doing today. And then on the way back, what happened is we start to go. You can see it's cloudy, but then it got like dark as night, and we had a little bit of drizzle. The rain was supposed to come later in the morning, close to lunchtime. So I just took out my bike. I figured I'd just roll out. You know, the orange bike was due for a wash anyway. I figured a little bit of dampness wasn't going to hurt it. But it started to rain within maybe 2 hours of us being out there. Probably hour 45. So a little before 9 o'clock it started raining. And then we saw that the clouds were really dark as we went further north. And so Mo suggested that we do a second loop of Honia, Egypt to let the storm pass. And that ended up working out. By the time we got back the second time, we ran into a train again, and then we had to backtrack to Leah Drive. All of that part is off camera. I only filmed the first pass of Honia, Egypt. And these guys were riding pretty hard. That's Andrew on the left there, who's visiting from the UK. I don't know if he lives here or he lives in the UK, but I think he goes back and forth. That's an interesting light on Andrew's bike. The light just kind of rolls around a little bit, like up and down, but it seems to move a little to the side. It's enough to get your attention, so it works. So we spent a lot of time, just, we're just warming up and we're chatting and, both telling stories, and it's always interesting. That's Fabian rolling on the left there. We're talking about the ride and the decision-making process of how it went about them making the call, because they were concerned about, the different levels of riders that ride Grand Fondos. Like most said, we know what we're doing, but not everybody does. They had to consider the impact the weather would have on the less experienced riders.
I wish we would have had the luxury to make the decision.
But they had to make the decision quickly on Friday to kind of head off all the logistical issues that may occur if they waited till Saturday.
100% chance. Yeah.
This time of year in April, it always happens. These fronts.
So what we're talking about is that in April we get showers. That's just, because we're still in between warm and cold air until mid-May. The warm air doesn't take over, so we get fronts. And we have storms sometimes. So like late Sunday, it rained and it was lightning. We even lost power for several hours because tree limbs fall and, take down wires and stuff. The rains didn't come on Sunday till probably around 2 something in the afternoon. But we did have showers throughout the morning in different spots. I didn't have mud guards on this ride, but I put my mud guards on for Sunday's ride. which was just a big difference. I missed them on Saturday. I just thought I'd be able to dodge the rain, but the weather changed from what was forecasted. There's Jared on the right here and Andrew on the left. We're heading towards Old Egypt Road. I think it's around here where Mo started talking about, you know, just all the challenges we face, you know, for cycling, like dealing with flats and all of that. I think in a little bit, there's a lot of debris. And so he jumps on the pavement. He said he didn't want to risk getting a flat. And so did I. And my tire had been feeling kind of weird because depending on what kind of pavement you're riding on, that's what we're talking about. Flats never happen at a good time. There's never a good time to have a flat. And so in a little while we get to the intersection, I go ahead and squeeze my tire to make sure it's not soft. It felt weird. And then Jesus says, change your thinking. Because I told Mo, I said, you got me paranoid now. You talking about flats. So we're going to turn right at this intersection. This is Old Egypt Road. The light changes to red. Even though you can turn right on red, there's a car coming on the left. Mo's going to let people know to hold on.
Hold it.
He said, hold it. Jared goes ahead and gets on the shoulder, but that car was coming and Mo said, hold it, that truck.
You start talking about flats.
Mo's actually doing a track stand on my left. I didn't get him on camera, but he never on clip.
It felt weird, but it's fine.
So I had pinched my tire to make sure. And Jesus said, change your thinking. Because I said, Mo, you got me paranoid talking about flats. In a little bit, I go ahead and film Fabian's bicycle. Fabian's in front of me here. He's riding a Colnago C64. A beautiful machine. It's stealth, and then he's got gold accents on it. He's wearing a Lecole kit today. So we stop at the light. I use that opportunity to film his bike. That's Mike F on my right in the blue. They have really improved this road. It used to be really chewed up. They did a good job. A few months back, they improved it. So right here, Andrew's doing like a track stand. So I go ahead and go on his right. So I was gonna go between, but then, so I go on his right, and I get over to Fabian, and I go ahead and film his bike.
Let me get this on film. This is a beautiful machine. Colnago C64. It's Fabian's machine, man. Lightweight. Lewis says lightweight. That's beautiful. Beautiful, man. Beautiful. Beautiful. Those are ceramic speed. The guys on the channel, you know, they like stuff. So yeah, I love those gold accents.
Yeah, the bike is beautiful. I like the gold touches. And the tubes is like a cube. They made the tube is not circular. The down tube is a cube, which makes it very stiff and very light.
Yeah.
And he also has a Pinarello F10. And on Sunday, he rode this same bike after this ride.
That's
and then
Fabian's beautiful Colnago C64.
And I asked him, I said, you must prefer this bike. He said, yeah. He said the feel of this bike is his preference. And it's always the case, no matter how many bikes you have, there's always one you're going to favor. And he says he just likes the way this bike feels on the road.
He has an ISM saddle that he's using on this bike. Fabian's a strong rider. He was pulling so hard when we were coming back that we decided to go ahead and let him go. I didn't want to hold him up, so we could do our own thing. And then on Sunday, he pulled so hard. We rode, Paul and I rode, you will see clips of it because we incorporated Sunday's riding here. But we went ahead and just sat in when he was pulling, and then at some point we actually ran into Mo off camera because Mo didn't do that Fayetteville race. He just did a solo ride, and he was heading north on Pony in Egypt, and he saw us on Sunday, so we rode back in together for a while. I love the gold accents on the Stealth bike, and then you got the gold and the red on the seat tube. It really wakes up the color nicely. His Pinarello F10 is also all stealth. The next time we're riding with him, if he brings that out, I'll film it as well. His bike has discs on there. Check for the stop sign, it was clear. There's a car coming that way, but we're turning left. It's gonna alert everybody to keep their eye on the car, that's all. That's why we call it out. Because sometimes when you're in the group, some people may not be as alert as they are when they're riding solo. So we always call cars that are coming in the opposite direction so that people don't drift. There's a tendency for people to relax too much when they're in the group sometimes. So we always call cars in the opposite direction. We don't want people to take chances, don't go over the yellow line, that kind of stuff. Just a little extra caution. This corner is a little tricky, there's a little gravel. You carry a lot of speed from the other side as you get into it. The corner's kind of tight, so we always take it a little cautiously. Fabian's on the opposite side of the road just to give more room. We turn left here. This corner has a couple of holes. It's not they're big, but they're not taking up the whole thing. You're just gonna go around. You can see them. The road gets washed away. We have a lot of rain. You see the cracks in there from water going over the road. Because these gutters just cannot contain. Look at Mo. Mo speeds up. He checks for traffic. He lets us know. We're going to be turning left at the next light.
Car left.
And so he's eyeing the traffic. And once the lane clears, he tells us to use the shoulder. Because there's the car in this lane. The car ends up moving over. Once they see us, they were further back. He tells us to wait one more car. So this point in the morning is like it looks pretty decent. A lot of our mornings are like this, especially in the summer. They start out like this, and then the sun burns off the light fog that we usually have when our dew points are high. So I figure, oh yeah, we're gonna get the benefit of the later storms. A lot of times the storms come later in the afternoon as it warms up. Now I'm still learning all the little nuances of the WCC group. Mo had already told everybody he was gonna just sit in today, take it easy, just spin his legs, because he was contemplating doing the Fayetteville race on Sunday. So he wasn't gonna ride hard today. And they're chatting, and in a little while you will see Mo just drift to the back, and I end up sitting on Fabian's wheel. He pulls for a long time, and he pulls really hard. And this road, I love it, but it's not the easiest road out here. It has undulations. And so it ended up just being a great workout kind of early in the ride. Fabian, I mentioned to him, I said, man, you're riding really strong. I think this was on Sunday. No, it was on Saturday, because he and I
ended up riding together until we met Paul. Because Mo and them, after the second loop of this road, when we ran into the train, they turned around and came back because Mo was trying to not ride too long on Saturday. I think he did a little over 2 hours or so, which is a pretty good ride. But yeah, if you have a race coming up or something, you don't want to leave it all out on the road the day before if you don't have to. That's Katie back there. So Katie, Andrew, myself, after the second loop of Honey in Egypt, which was off camera, we rode together towards Taco Corner, but Katie and Andrew turned back around. So Fabian and myself were the only one from this group that ended up getting to Taco Corner. And as we're leaving Taco Corner, we spotted Paulie Longo. And he was like, man, great to see you guys, because it was getting kind of, I guess, lonely or boring out there, riding solo. But it did not rain on us per se that much. Just a little, light drift. See, Mo drifts to the back so he can save his energy. The pace is picking. But the roads just got wet enough to where you got dirty. So your legs, your feet. It's been a long time since I've ridden without the mud guards, and I got spoiled because I don't get my shoes and my shin all dirty. And that's what happened on Sunday. You have nothing, your wheels get you dirty. There's Katie. We're already doing 40 kilometers an hour. In fact, on Sunday, when we're coming back, that part was off camera, back on Honey in Egypt, after we picked up Mo. Fabian was pulling into the wind at 41 kilometers an hour, and I'm like, man. It felt decent, but I was just like, man, because we rode a lot on Saturday, and this was Sunday. The wheels that he has on his bike, the name, it just said lightweight on it, and I don't know if that's a brand. I'd have to look it up. But I like the way they look. They're very stealth. They don't have decals all over them, and they have a good look. He said he runs a 12, I think it was a 1225 or 1228 Cox. No, not 1211. He has an 11 on it. I just asked him out of curiosity. At this point, he's probably in a 16 or something. One thing I noticed about Fabian, as long as he's pushing, what I notice is cadence stays up. I notice that a lot. Right here, this is a good effort. And you can see the road's damp right here. As we go around the corner, you can see it's wet over here. So there was a shower. And I move a little to the left because I suspect that the camera might get water on it. You see how the light looks? There's water on the lens. And it created that nice effect. I left it in there. I thought that's kind of neat. So the light with the water, the film of water on the camera lens is making that light look like that. I thought that was cool. It comes from the mist that gets on the lens of the camera. And for our gimbal, we have a protective covering on the lens. So it's actually a clear protective film that they call invisible shield or something like that. So this water droplet that gets on there, I kind of let it stay. I didn't edit it out because for one thing, when we were riding here, I was thinking about wiping the camera, but being in second position with a bunch of riders behind me on a wet road, I didn't want to make anybody feel uneasy by letting go of the bars to move that thing, and it was kind of windy. So I just kind of let it. I said I figured the wind would blow it off, and in a short while you'll see the wind blows this water bubble off the lens, and it really didn't obscure anything but the road. So I'm in second position, and when you're up front like this, you don't get the greatest draft. You have to be pretty. You can see I'm pretty close. So he's going pretty hard. He drifts a little to the left because the right side of the road is chewed up. But we're riding around 22, 23 miles per hour. And you see the water just got blown off the lens by the wind. So if you're riding with guys like this, like Fabian, and what he's doing there right here, he's riding at, say, 23, 24 into the wind. In order to be able to tolerate this, when you're training, you need to replicate this effort, not the speed. You need to replicate how hard this feels in certain parts of your ride. No matter how long you do it, whether it's 20 seconds, 40 seconds, 1 minute, that's what people call intervals, meaning during your ride, get to replicate this kind of effort so that your body can be able to tolerate it. And what do you do when you go up a climb? Like you're riding and you come to a hill? Push on that one hill. Because these guys, they don't back off when they come to hills. They keep the pressure fairly constant. Some of them even go harder. More and I talked about it, I think it was after the second lap, because I told him, I said, man, they were going pretty hard. And then he explained that in this group, you know, they keep the pressure on. They don't back off because the road is going up. Because on the second lap, I had to pretty much let the group go. I think, yeah, the second lap, because we did only Egypt twice. This road hard enough. He pulls off and he's on the left, and I just come through. I don't believe I stayed there very long because the pace is up and this road's going up, and then we've got the wind. I didn't want to turn the camera around. I think I pulled off here. You can see, I don't know if it's here where I'm going to drift right here. Okay, I turned it around. I'm going to drift after I turn it around. Because you see, he's not even back in the line yet. That's the rain. There's a little bit of rain thing going on. You see on my arm, we've been rain on just a little, nothing organized, just light rain. I look back and I move over. I don't want to be up there anymore. I put the camera in my left hand. Katie goes through. I wipe the lens just to make sure. Because I'm not looking at the lens. I just know something might be on it. And then I slip behind the motor. Oh, Fabian's there. Okay, I slid behind Fabian. I was wondering why I left such a gap. If you notice, I did not stay up at the front very long. When you're in the group, if somebody has pulled or whatever, don't feel like you're going to try to stay there as long as they did. It's all based on what you want to do, what you're able to do. There was no way I was going to pull that hard, that long, riding with these guys. It's going to take me a little while to get used to the way they ride, you know, for their pace. So I'm saving my energy to stay with them. So I stayed there long enough and pulled off. Now, let's say if you could not even stay there as long as I did, as soon as he pulled off, you just go through it, you pull off in front of him, and then both of you can drift back. You don't have to sit up there to where you blow and then you can't continue with the group. Don't feel any pressure to do that. Pointing out obstacles. If you notice now, the road's wet. It's a decent sized group. I'm guessing what, 5 to 7 riders maybe. But you notice we're using about half of the lane here. So all the drivers will have to use the opposite lane to pass. It's wet. We don't want to encourage them to pass us too close. We're not riding by the edge of the road. There is no shoulder. So we're using the lane. Same spot like a motorcycle would use. You can see Mo is saving every ounce of energy he can. You see him and he tucked. And I noticed he was staying very low. Just being stingy with his energy because he's got an event that he was going to consider doing the next day. So even though he announced he was going to take it easy, the rest of these guys are not taking it easy. They're just riding, you know. And it was like he stuck with his plan. That's what you have to do. You have to have your goal. And even if sometimes you have to let the group go, you let them go. If they're just going too hard and you got an event or you're tired or whatever, no problem. You know, you let them go until the next time you ride with them when you feel like going as hard as they are. But I came to ride with these guys because I wanted to ride hard. And what I decided to do was spend minimal time at the front because you see right now this road's going up here. 2%, whatever, 3%. They don't slow down, they just keep riding. They don't worry about speed, they just ride the same effort. So your speed may drop, but the gear we're in like a 53.19 or 53.17, whatever. We're just riding those gears up these climbs. And sometimes I'll be in like a 53.19, switch to the downshift to the 23, and the 23 will feel too light, meaning I'm spinning it out. And then I just shift right back to the 19. Paul and I talked about it. Don't feel like you have to stay in a light gear. This guy passes kind of close to oncoming traffic, but he got through okay. Yeah, don't feel like you have to stay in a very light gear. If you're riding and your legs are tightening up and you downshift, and the next gear seems too low where you're spinning too fast and you're running out of breath, shift back up to the large gear, to the larger car. It might be all you need to get through that patch. Because sometimes it's hard to find a rhythm when you're following somebody else. And then sometimes you just won't be able to ride that bigger gear because they're just going so hard. And then sometimes you're just going to have to call it a day and say, okay, I'm going to hold this pace here and just keep riding. Don't quit. The reason why you want to stay within yourself is so you don't have to stop completely. And then eventually you might be able to ride back up to them if there's a hiatus in the effort or whatever. Or meet them at the next stop. Or fall back with the second group. All of that's what happens. And as we ride more and more with this group, you will begin to see that because once the weather gets better, we'll have more people showing up. We'll have larger turnouts. And that's when we get a group A, B, and C. And I will make a point to drift back and capture those splits on the road. I've already made a note of that because I want to show that. And this happens a lot with this group, like especially on Sunday. On their Sunday ride, they'll get like 30 riders and they'll have different splits. So I will definitely be looking to film those splits. I'll go back to the last group, film them, go to the middle group, and then hopefully ride up to the big group. That's the reason I'm starting to ride with them again. Get my strength up to where I'll be able to roam the groups in the right situation. We went Hodia Egypt South on Sunday with Fabian. Jesus is in front of Fabian, and Mo found us at the end of our ride. We rode back together and we climbed that bump. And it was a hard effort, but it was nice. It felt really good. And after a while, I kind of pulled out because Paul did not want to go that hard. And so I pulled out and waited for him, and we kind of rode back in together. But it was kind of cool to just kind of see how they're riding and stuff. And the ironic thing about it is we're riding the climb. I'm on Fabian's wheel. We're working hard. And Mo's having a conversation with Jesus. You know, I'm sure you guys been there. You've been on a ride where you're riding hard and people chatting. Yeah, this is Leah Drive. It gets up to like 3%. This is a Strava segment. I went and looked it up. This is where it starts. That's why they went hard the other day. This is a segment all the way near the light down the road. And I think when the wind is favorable, they'll probably go for it like when we have a south breeze or whatever. I'm staying a little to the left to get everybody in the shot. The hill's kind of over, but they don't back off. We're gonna keep riding all the way to the intersection. So this first pass, we didn't have any challenges. You can see the skies look okay. But as we get across the highway, at the highway, I turned off the camera. After the highway, it started to rain and it started getting like dark as night. And then, so more of them turned around and said, let's just do another loop and let the storm pass. I called car back. I'm at the back just to let them know so nobody. You see how Fabian's close to the yellow line, but he did not go across. He's just moving up front. This is Mike F. See, I'm drifting right, left. I just want to get different shots. And I look behind when I'm back here doing this because I want to make sure that no cars come in. If you look at the road, you have spots of water, then dry spots. It was one of those mornings. So right here the power's off. We're kind of rolling to the intersection. There's a railroad track. This is where when we came back the second time, there was a train blocking this road. So we ended up backtracking and going to Leah Drive off camera. In a little while, you would see Jesus get off his bike, and he ends up letting out some air from his tires. I guess he wants more traction. He's let out a little bit of air. I didn't get that on camera, but that's what he's about to do there. So here, this is after we hooked up with Paul Ilonga. And you can see the roads are wet. It's been raining for a while. So this is Paul and I coming south on Fish Street, back towards town. It's after we let Fabian go, and we're gonna go check out the route that Mo had done on Thursday. He called Mount Vernon. I wanted to see what kind of climbs. There are like 2 6% climbs in there. It's very beautiful. A neighborhood where you got like one stop sign for maybe 6 kilometers. You know, probably more than that, but it's just not much stopping. Might as well be the open road. They're building a second bridge on the right there. You see all that dirt? And we confirmed it because as you go over this bridge, we could see the rebar that are setting up to put the columns in that will hold the bridge. But they bring these bridges in like slabs of concrete. They don't build everything from scratch. That's why I'm telling him you can actually see down there. If you look through those holes, you will see rebar. I don't know if the camera caught it, but they've got rebar sticking up where they're gonna put the supports. So we're gonna have 4 lanes as opposed to 2. And we'll probably have a nice shoulder on it too, versus this little one that we have to deal with. But when the group is big, we just use the lane. I mean, like right now, there's a lot of debris and it's wet. I'm staying a little to the left of the white line. I'm just using what I have to. And then as we go further, it gets cleaner. So you see me drifting more. Because when it's wet like that, you want to avoid going over a lot of debris. If you must have to, unweight your bike. So right here, Paul Ilonga is filming me because we came across him out there. Those of you who saw the route, you could see that he was behind us and we hooked up. And that was why when we did the second loop of Oni in Egypt and we came back around, I told Mo I was going to go look for Paul. And then they came back in. Mo came back in so we could get some rest. This is the last little bump here that it gets there in a hurry. It's steep, 3% or more, and then it continues as a drag once you come across it. I was telling Paul, I said on the second trip, Jared and I rode this section together because the front group gapped us.
This is still a climb. It's a drag. It's a falls flat. You feel it more than anything. But if you look down the road, you see how it goes down where those cars are, and then it curves to the right, it goes up a little bit. So you've got a drag and you got the wind. And it was kind of a blustery day because of the fronts coming in. So we have the wind from the Gulf and the wind from up north. That bike is dirtier than it looks on camera. There was a lot of just mud from the road and all over the bike. I guess I put too much faith in the weather forecast because I really did not even cover my shoes or anything. It was such a warm morning that I really enjoyed the dampness out there. And the ironic thing is it didn't rain enough for you to really enjoy the rain. It just was a messy drizzle here and there to mix with the dust on the road and just make kind of, you know, a muddy soup to get on you. There was no organized rain, so we never got wet. We just got dirty. You can see how my speeds went from 24 to 30 like that. So when you're riding, focus more on your rhythm than your speed, because the road back there was kicking up. So if you're too worried about speed, you end up just breaking up how you ride. And so as the road is going down, all I'm doing is I'm spinning faster. I didn't do much shifting. Paul is staying a little to the left because I have no mud guards on, and there are spots on the road where you get some spray. The drivers pretty much gave us this entire right lane. I move over in the shoulder here because this part of the shoulder is clean. Further back, there's a lot of gravel that comes off people's driveways. Some of the driveways are unpaved, and the gravel gets washed onto the shoulder. So where those are, I use the lane. So I stay to the right, this way he can use a piece of the lane there, and we just go. As we get closer to the corner, then I'll go ahead and use the shoulder more, and both of us use the shoulder. It gets a little more congested after that light up ahead. This is the piece that we did twice. So we came back earlier and turned right on Honia Egypt again and did it again to avoid riding into the storm earlier this morning.
Oh, Jesus was there?
Yeah, I'm letting Paul know that Jesus rode with us. I sped it up here because it took a little while for this light to go through the cycle.
Right here, Jared said, good luck.
So when we came back the second time, Jared went straight. I turned right. Jared didn't want to do do Honia Egypt a second time. But I kind of wanted a kilometer, so I went. I mean, Honia Egypt is a fun road, but doing it twice in that direction is a workout. pretty much in town. This section here is called Holy Egypt also, and it goes up to 1488. The Sunday ride starts. 2 intersections up is where the Sunday ride starts. So on Sunday, we actually, Paul and myself rode out together on Sunday morning. Since he'd already taken the day off, we rode together to meet the Sunday ride from the wine tasting room that's up there. I'm going to make a video probably this coming week to talk about the different aches and pains that you get on the bike, even after you've dialed in your position, that you must not ignore because things happen. You know, cleats come loose, they move on you, and you need to pay attention to all the signals your body's giving you, especially when you ride a lot. Because you should not have any kind of discomfort other than the standard muscle aches that you have. There's a bit of mist on the lens here, and I guess we kind of missed it, but I'm asking Paul how many miles he has. He says 75. So we go ahead and I told him we're going to need to go left here. We usually go straight. We end up doing a kind of a horseshoe. I think we go to the right, then we go the opposite way.
That's 75? I want to check it out. We're talking about it.
Moore had discussed with me the route that I had asked him about that he did on Thursday, so I'm telling Paul I want to check it out. So this is on Sunday. We're headed south on FM 2854. We've just left Taco Corner. Paul and I rode out to meet the Woodland Cycling Club group. There weren't a whole lot of people. There were like 3 people, Fabian, Jesus, and there was another guy who actually had started at the lake and had ridden into town. So we rode out with him and he went home, and we're on the way back in town on FM 2854. Now what's prevalent is that the same guys who are driving the buns, like Fabian up there, Jesus here, Mo, those are the people who ride, whether it's raining, cloudy, whatever. You know, unless it's unsafe, like we have hurricanes and storms, you know, we stay in. But I'm just saying that the staples of the ride are the guys who are in the best form. It's just consistent. It's not just this group. Look at your group. The people who show up when the weather is not necessarily cooperating are usually the people who are the strongest riders. Because you need to be consistent at anything you do in life to improve. Just remember that. Don't pay attention to those who are whining because it's too hot or it's raining, whatever. Just ignore it. Just stick to your program. I'm not saying you should go out there when it's dangerous. If you live in a place where there's a lot of ice and it's icy on the road, yeah, use your trainer, do something else. You know, we don't come out when it's unsafe. We don't come out when there's lightning and other things like that. And if we are out there, then we seek shelter, maybe at a gas station or something until it passes. Use your head. But I'm just saying that the people who are the strongest riders, they're there because they're consistent in what they do, and they continually push themselves. And ironically, when I complimented Fabian about how strong he'd been riding, that's what he told me. He said, I'm always pushing my body. That's exactly what he told me. He said, thank you. He said, I'm always pushing my body. And I mentioned that to Paul. And that's really why I'm joining them now, because I need to push myself to a higher level than where I've been. And so over a few weeks or so, I should be able to acclimate and ride stronger than I've been. So that's how you improve in anything you do. I'm moving the contents of my pocket around just based on how they feel, that's all. I took the gimbal out and turned it on. It was in the middle pocket, and things had kind of settled a certain way. So I handed it to Paul. This is from 2 seasons ago. This jersey is the Pro Team training jersey. No, Pro Team flyweight jersey. And Paul complimented me. He said he liked the blue stripes. They did something unusual in that they put blue stripes versus their normal white stripes that they're convicts of the road, they call them. You know, in the Raphael style. That's the Woodland Cycling Club team jersey that Jesus is wearing in front of me. And I complimented him on it at the store. And he told me that Maurizio designed that jersey. Because what I liked about it was how the color, that square, the green, really pops. And it's very visible. And then the lettering, the WCC, I really love the way that's done. And that's what I was telling him. I said, it's very visible. And he said, Maurizio designed it. And most bicycle has the same touches of those colors that are on the jersey. I said, that's really nice. So you get to see that green and you see the black. And Fabian's been sitting up there for a while. We're pulling into the wind here. A relatively flat to slightly downhill, but you know, mostly flat. Now, I just wanted to get some clips from Sunday to just show you all that regardless of the weather, we were out there. Today's ride, I've got the blue bike. I already had the mud guards on the blue bike because most of the week, the training week, it rained here. This time of year, April, we just get rain. That's just the way it is. And so I just left the mud guards on this bike. And so on Sunday, I brought this one out. And it was just a world of difference. I'm so much cleaner. And I even wore my shoe covers because the forecast called for rain throughout the night Saturday and into Sunday. And ironically, it was dry when we got up in the morning. But once we got out here, they had showers before we got there. So we never got rained on per se, but the roads were wet. There was a guy following us early in the morning, the guy who rode from the lake. He said that, wow, this stuff, you really get protected, because he was following Paul. He said, there's really no spray when you're wearing that. And then Jesus asked me about the mud guards. I told him, about the brand and so forth. It's so easy to put on. It's good to have. Your cleanup is minimal. I had to wash that orange bike. It was so filthy. Like the grit got everywhere. The rain does not hurt your bicycle. Somebody had asked on the channel whether, does it harm the bottom bracket or whatever. I mean, you'd have to take a water hose and put high pressure water to get water in the bottom bracket. Rain is not the problem. It's the spray off your wheels that gets you dirty and dirties your drivetrain. The rain itself really hits your body more than the bicycle. I keep my cadence up here as we're rolling. I'm probably riding a 5317. Yeah, right about 100 RPMs will get you around 40 kilometers an hour. I talk about heart rate, you can see my heart rate 136 or whatever. My legs are screaming at me because I just did 187 kilometers the day before, which is about 115 miles thereabouts. So my legs are tired. Whatever my heart needs to do to flush out lactate or bring whatever, it does not need to beat very high to do that, but that does not change the fact that I got tired legs. My legs are not fresh. I've recovered fairly well, but the point I'm making is you got two different systems. So even though you're training to heart rate, don't neglect the fact of how your legs feel, because your legs need to be fresh enough to drive your heart rate. And if they're not, you gotta let them rest, either by spinning lighter gears in that workout or taking a rest day. Save your legs. It's your legs that do the work. All the other systems react to your legs. The heart will react to what your legs have done. The power meter will display what your legs have done. So everything starts with your legs. Don't forget that. Fabian pulls off, and then I ask him, I said, are we turning? Because there's a turn. That's why I asked him. He said, yeah, at the top of the hill. And the reason I asked is that he pulled off right before the turn. I was thinking he could have just stayed there, but I don't know. I'm sure he had a reason. But his suit takes over, and because it's wet, you see that sign that says tracks to the right? It's wet, and up that climb, there is a street right there on the right called Adui. A nice little bump. I really like it. And so I basically back off of Jesus here, and let him roll through because it's wet, and that thing, those metal tracks are tricky when it's wet. So we spread out here. And I try to go through as straight as possible. And then as I stand, my wheel begins to slip, so I make sure I keep my weight back towards the saddle. So right there, I slow down a little bit just to keep my weight over the saddle, because the road's wet. I think this gets to like 4%. So when the road is wet, you want to keep your weight as close to the saddle over the bottom bracket as possible when you stand. Otherwise, your back wheel will slip. So even though I'm putting power into the pedal, I sit down right here. I sat down a little earlier than normal. I look for Paul, he's right there. Jesus is down the road. He's not that far ahead, but he never had to back up because he was in front. And we opened spaces, because the road was wet. So right here, I tell him, I said, I have to back off. Don't kill yourself. So this is what we did on Sunday. And I just wanted to share that with you all. Hope you got a chance to get some K's in. So no matter what, keep those doctors fired.